Good evening. My name is Jennithan Cortes, candidate for District 2 City Council, and welcome to the 508, a show about Worcester.
And I'm Mike Benedetti. It's September the 4th, and once again, we're interviewing candidates for the Worcester City Council. Jennithan, thanks for being on the show.
Oh, thank you very much for having me.
I want to ask you some questions. Some of these are from the list of questions we've been asking people. Some of these are Facebook questions. Some of these are our brain trusts emailing us in questions for the candidates. Last week we talked to a guy who was running for at-large city council, somebody that everybody in the city is going to vote for. Jennithan is running for city council in District 2. What is the general outline of District 2?
Oh, actually, it's quite large. It's Lake Avenue, up Hamilton Street, down to Grafton Street. It encompasses a little bit of Main South, downtown Worcester, City Hall. It also heads over down to Grove Street, Sears Island, comes back around to Lincoln Street, and it obviously incorporates Belmont Street, Shrewsbury Street, Franklin Street. So it's a pretty diverse and a large district in the city.
Why are you? What do I want to ask first? Boy, I need to drink more coffee here. Let me ask you this first. What line of work are you in?
Actually, I'm employed by the state. I work for the Executive Office of Labor and Workforce Development.
Okay.
I am an operations manager at the Career Center in Milford, Mass. And I work with the Worcester office and the Southbridge office.
How did you get involved in that kind of work?
Well, actually, my background has been operations, management, manager operations. Prior to that, I worked for the Department of Commerce for a couple of years. And before that, I actually had 16 years experience working here in the local area for a family-owned business, a computer company, software and hardware solutions. And that gave me a strong foundation in working with the community, working with small business. And that's the line of work that I enjoy.
How have you been active in the city of Worcester?
Well, behind the scenes, I've done a lot of things in the city of Worcester. I've been involved in other campaigns, other people's campaigns, whether it be local or at the state level. I've also been involved in boards. I've served on the Central Las Americas Executive Committee. I was chairman of the Strategic Planning Committee there as well. I served on a board for an organization out of Boston called OESTA. They had a Central Mass chapter. So I've been working with community initiatives and programs for quite a while in background. I also volunteer a lot of my time to work with events. I've been coaching youth sports and up until the semi-pro level for about 15 years. So I've been working with the youth, young adults, and all of this has given me a well-rounded background in terms of being able to work with people like city administrators, legislators, community-based organizations that are working on behalf of the community and obviously the people in the community. It's just a line of work that I think I've grown up with. My father, came to this country in the 1960s. My parents actually came from Colombia, and they got involved with the community. My father's been an advocate for community services for a long time. My brother Marwin, he's now serving 20 years in the Army. He's a major in the Army. My younger brother works with the Worcester Public Schools. As I said, I work for the state in the Career Center, helping people find employment and things of that nature. So my entire family has basically worked in the community behind the scenes and trying to move forward.
Let me ask you this: why? So after doing all these different things for the community, why did you decide that you would like to try to make a move to being on the city council?
Well, I think I bring about a new voice, a new perspective. Being behind the scenes, integrating and working with folks at all different levels. You see the work that needs to be done. You understand the work that needs to be done and how it needs to get done. And I think my background, as diversified as it is, has given me a strong foundation to move forward. And I feel very confident that I can come to City Hall and work on behalf of my district in a positive and effective manner. I think that I bring about creative ideas. I like to bring about collaboration. Always working with folks, bringing people together. I think that's an important aspect of it, and not to be overlooked is being able to provide a friendly, courteous, respectful voice and listen to what the people are saying not only the big companies, but also down at the neighborhood level.
Yeah.
You know, the neighbors who are concerned about, we were talking earlier, whether it be education, housing, jobs, the city of Worcester as a whole, its growth, its future, its progress, and their comfort level with the fact that they live in Worcester, they would love to stay in Worcester, and how best to live in Worcester and continue to have their family, enjoy the services, the public safety, the schooling that we have, and build on that. So, I think for me, it's the next step. It's a great challenge, and I've accepted that position.
I want to ask you a little bit about economic development.
Sure.
And I don't know, everybody's for economic development.
Sure.
I guess the one concrete question I would ask you about is the Midtown Mall as an example of an economic development issue. This is this little mall, little indoor mall downtown.
Yeah.
It's been open all through, the big mall being shut down and now being rebuilt into a different thing. There always seem to be people in there buying stuff, but it's been something that the city council on and off for years has talked about. Isn't there a way that we can get rid of this thing? And the incumbent councilor in your district, Phil Palmieri, has been outspoken in saying, like, the city should use eminent domain to take this property because this is just not the kind of thing we want to see downtown. Would you be in favor of the city taking and demolishing that mall?
Well, I'm in favor of the city working together with everybody, all small businesses, in terms of rebuilding, and it's starting with the Front Street being open now.
Yeah.
I think we have to look at everything that's going on downtown. I mean, for example,
but I just
Midtown Mall.
I want
to
focus it to that mall though. I mean,
Okay.
is that? Do you think that that's an appropriate use of eminent domain powers?
No, I don't think so.
So you wouldn't be in favor of the city using eminent domain to seize that mall, at least as things stand right now?
To seize that mall, no, because as of what I was going to say is that whole stretch of properties there, from Dunkin' Donuts down to the CVS, there are buildings that are fairly empty. So it's not just one specific aspect of it that's shutting down that area. I mean, we have to have a big picture and say, okay, if it were to be taken by eminent domain, what is going to happen with that entire strip in terms of 44 Front Street? FedEx has left. Tenants have left 44 Front Street. The restaurant at the corner has changed names numerous times, and so we need to. What's the big picture? What are we going to do? If we take it, great. Okay, why? Why we take it? Let's not just take it to take it. What is the vision of that street, and when is that vision going to happen? Because at this point in time, like you said, it's serving constituents. It's serving community people who are walking through that mall and utilizing it.
Right.
Now we have to build a partnership, big picture moving forward in terms of, could that mall be a piece of what's going to happen in the future? And if not, let's talk about what the future is. It's not just one piece. Let's talk about everything that's going on at downtown.
What kind of concrete things would you like to see happen with downtown?
Well, I think it needs to become more of a vibrant area.
Sure.
I love the Hanover Theater, but what I don't like about the Hanover Theater is the fact that people from the outside come in to take in the show, and they park across in the parking lot or in the public library. They walk to the Hanover Theater, and as soon as the show is over, they leave.
Yes.
What we need to do is build an infrastructure or a downtown area where it's convenient for folks who come to visit our great city, folks who come and visit the beautiful Hanover Theater, stay. And whether it be, the common area or what have you, where there's, once again, we talked about offline was, walking area where people can go to restaurants and partake in an after event would be wonderful. And that's what we got to tie all together. You can't have a Taj Mahal in the middle of nowhere. We have to work on the entire downtown region. And that's part of, Hanover Theater, that's part of the Common, that's part of the new Front Street, that's part of the Midtown Mall. How does this all tie together moving forward?
I want to ask you about another economic development question. This is something which one of my friends emailed me. This is an issue which, frankly, I know nothing about. But they wanted to see what you thought about how the CSX rail yard expansion went for your district and whether that was worth it.
Well, I mean, in the overall scheme of things for the city of Worcester, it's an important and a vital piece because it's bringing in an opportunity for folks who live in Worcester to work outside of Worcester and have a commuting solution.
Right.
And obviously, by the same token, it makes it easier for folks to come visit Worcester if you can board the train and come right into Union Station and then visit Worcester and partake in all the events and activities that we have. Locally in District 2, obviously we have to harbor the brunt of the noise factor in the train lines themselves. That is probably the biggest issue that we have in our neighborhood.
Yeah.
And unfortunately, looking at the big picture, some of the things that were overlooked were probably sound and operations, which is affecting, of course, the neighbors who live along the rail yard and or in District 2 are in close proximity and hear the horns, if you will, and the trains buzzing by and what have you at all different sorts of times. So I think as it stands now, I believe it's at about 70% capacity.
Okay.
And they're looking to increase that traffic. I think now is the important time to now start to reflect on what can we do to benefit the neighborhoods that are being directly affected by the noise and the high volume of traffic that occurs there. I don't think that was, that could have been handled a little bit better for folks. But I think that's what we need to address now is, okay, we're at a certain point at the stage in the development process, if you will. We're not even at 100% capacity. Moving forward, before we start to do these things, how can we best work together in terms of making sure that the local neighborhoods are well taken care of and addressed, because they are, they're neighbors. We are neighbors with CSX, and CSX are neighbors with District 2 neighborhoods, and we need to work together. And that's an important part of the overall picture.
Do you have any sense of what kinds of things can be done to deal with noise, or to otherwise make it worth people's hassle?
I think a lot. There are some federal regulations in terms of how they have to operate and their horns and the timing of things. I think they need to sit down. We need to sit down and say, okay, during certain periods of time and or during certain periods of operations, can other methods of communication be done so that it doesn't impact the residents of along the train lines.
Right.
I know that from an infrastructure standpoint, in housing, in terms of windows and kind of soundproof walls and things, that's going to be a little bit expensive to kind of do now.
Right.
So whether it be trees, walls, some kind of sound barriers, or I think more along the lines of working with the train companies and saying what can we do to minimize the noise that goes along the train lines is really what needs to be talked about.
Okay. Another question relevant to your district that people asked me to ask was about the parks, because you have a lot of parks. You have Bell Pond, you have Green Hill Park, Institute Park, East Park. People asked both about thoughts about swimming safety at Bell Pond, as well as trying to increase usage of Institute Park and East Park, or just parks in general. What are your thoughts?
Actually, I love that question, and that's a big one that I actually like to talk about, because I believe that we have some of the nicest parks in the city of Worcester, but we also have some parks that need some work. One park that you did not mention was Grant Square Park, up near behind Catherine Street Memorial Hospital. It's a nice little park for the residents there, and needs some work, and I'm hoping that we, by working with the neighborhood there and some great people there, to bring that to the table and say, hey, we need to take care of that area as well. But in terms of Institute Park and in the East Park, for example, I love the fact that these are great venues. They should be the key area where events, activities, festivals are had, because the beauty of it all is that there are businesses that also coincide and are right along. I mean, obviously Shrewsbury having Restaurant Row, Institute Park having Highland Street and some of the nice little stores there as well.
Yeah.
I think that working together so that the residents understand that their neighborhood is not being overtaken by people that are coming in and starting some crazy activities, but I think there are good family opportunities, family-oriented activities. Have some of the school bands, go to these venues and play a free concert, or maybe use it as a fundraiser where people can, throw some money in a hat. Park themes, I think things like that are really the essence of what the park should be used for. Family-oriented activities, weekend activities, early evening. You see a lot of these in the small towns where communities come to the gazebo at the center of town, and there's a jazz band playing there for a couple of hours. That should be happening almost on a daily basis during the summer, in these beautiful parks that we have here. That should be a consistent theme, a series of events that are going on, so that families can come out and enjoy themselves, and we can have people come in from out of town who will come in, enjoy that, and then walk around and enjoy everything that we have to offer.
I want to ask you, a related quality of life question, which people were interested to know, which is, do the children in your life plan to live in Worcester when they grow up?
My kids love the city of Worcester.
Yeah.
My two sons live in the city of Worcester, and my daughter currently goes to college at Western New England, but she comes back as often as possible. So they like the city. They enjoyed the diversity of the city. They like the fact that they can go one way and find a nice little jewel of a restaurant, a nice corner place, and obviously we have it all. I mean, we have so much to offer. Historically, we have so many great things going on here in the city of Worcester. It's just unbelievable, and really this is why the city of Worcester. I'm so excited to be part of this opportunity, because the city of Worcester continues to grow. I mean, it's expanded from when I was a kid. What is available in terms of eateries and restaurants and nightlife and activities it's growing and growing. And I would love to see that to continue to happen. And I think it's great for the city to be able to offer that to all of its constituents in all of Central Mass.
Mm-hmm. Do you think that Worcester residents should be allowed to keep chickens? Have you followed this issue, the chicken issue?
Well, yeah, that started quite a few years ago. I think it was actually Councilor Palmieri who brought that up, if I'm not mistaken, but at some point in time. But honestly, I mean, the city is a city. Mm-hmm. I guess if you put in the right rules and guidelines and stipulations, I'm not a big fan of the chicken coops myself. Okay. But that's just me being a city boy. Uh-huh. But by the same token, again, I guess when we look at the whole picture, is it an important item? I think there's a lot more important items that I can focus my time on, and I think that city council needs to spend their time on. Mm-hmm. But if it's brought to the table because constituents have a need or a requirement, we got to look at it and again make the decision in the best interest of the total community.
Okay. What else do I want to ask here? Do you think that the city of Worcester is financially sustainable?
I think it is, and I think it can be. I think again, just talking about the city of Worcester. The city of Worcester, unlike a lot of cities, has a great opportunity to be the central focal point forever. I mean, just geographically because of where we are. We have a lot of land, we have a lot of buildings, we have a lot of space. I think it's a great area where we can host lots of businesses, both small and large. We have a lot of technology at our disposal, the colleges that are here. Mm-hmm. I just think it's a centralized area where we can really be a dominant force for a city of our size. Mm-hmm. We're never going to be Boston. We're never going to be Providence. Right. And I actually don't aspire to be that. I like Worcester for what Worcester is. We have character. We have history. We have a family-oriented values that is our community. I'd like to keep that. When we walk along, whatever streets you're walking around, whatever neighborhood you walk into, people. People recognize you, and vice versa. That intimacy of knowing who your neighbors are, that's still important. And I think that Worcester has kept that. Everybody knows who everybody is, and I think that's an important piece that we have to accept and say, hey, yeah, let's build on that. Let's offer services, let's offer activities, let's have these events, let's beautify all of our parks and beautify all of our neighborhoods. But let's keep Worcester what it is, and it's a great working community where people can raise their families.
Do you think that the city government in Worcester is financially sustainable?
It should be. It should be. Is it? I think everybody's working to be at that level, but I think, again, we have to think outside the box. We cannot continue to just do the same old status quo, and I think we have an opportunity because of who we are to bring about new businesses, bring about new economic development, and partner with companies and or organizations that are coming in from all over, right, and sell Worcester for what it is. It's a viable option, and continue to bring in folks. We have to take care of our own first and foremost, and I think the way to do that is by bringing new businesses, new activities, new events, right to the heart of Massachusetts.
Mm-hmm. I think what else I need to ask here. I guess I'm just sort of curious to know if there's what kinds of things, in terms of bringing business to the city, what kinds of things need to be happening? Because I know that there's at least always a lot of effort around this. And sometimes it seems to be paying off and sometimes it doesn't. And sometimes it's just a question of these are good ideas and there's some issues with execution. I was just interested to know if you have any sort of critique of the way that is happening now, if you have any major disagreements with that.
Well, I think I think the government serves a purpose, but I also think that we're at an advantage now. I think that the Worcester Regional Chamber of Commerce is gonna elevate its game, if you will, now
Right.
that Tim Murray is working there as
Right.
the executive director. I think that brings some validity to the fact that Central Mass is and has been such a vital point in Massachusetts. What I think we need to do is look outside. There are international companies. I know that I've actually spoken to a company out of Westwood, Gray and Gray. They just signed an international agreement with the country of Colombia, an organization down there, where both companies are trying to import and export business ideas. So companies from third world countries and or Europe. I know that Germany is working with the state of Massachusetts in bringing in manufacturing companies, and possibly here to Worcester. Mm-hmm. This is the kind of international market that we need to also get embraced, because Worcester is such a centralized area that we can solicit businesses, I think, from a private standpoint, but also from a public standpoint, and working together and saying we can bring in these private industries here, these companies who are going to plant their roots in our area, which obviously would increase jobs, and these are well-paying jobs, increase the number of small business opportunities for our constituents and neighbors and friends who can get involved with these things. That's the kind of the vision that we need to start talking about. Is we can't go to the same type of businesses every day that we've gone to over and over and over again. We need to expand and solicit every type of business. When we're talking about high tech, we're talking about STEM programs, we're talking about manufacturing, obviously health and services, we're very strong in.
Right.
So take what we're very strong in and continue to build on that, because it's like anything else. In sales, if you have a market and you can refer and reference successful endeavors that already exist, then these other companies and these other organizations, would gear their efforts to kind of joining in that area, because it becomes a vibrant potential for them business-wise. And this is what the city of Worcester, whether it be people that work for the city or are hired by the city, or partnerships with the Chamber of Commerce's of Central Mass and things of that nature, to bring those kind of relationships to the forefront.
I want to ask you the important questions. This first question is the question that Brendan has wanted us to ask people. What do you carry with you on a daily basis?
Okay. What I carry with me is the keys to my car, my house, my wallet, which is a little light, and my cell phone.
Okay.
And that's it.
That's it. Traveling light.
Very, very simple.
What is your max bench press?
My max bench press. Well, I work out at 225.
Okay.
I don't think I've maxed out because I'm getting a little older now, and it's getting a little tougher.
Yeah.
So I've actually started to do a little bit more running nowadays.
Oh, really?
Yes. A group of friends of mine about a year ago, a little over a year ago, they were runners, and they were running, and they were getting into these events, and I actually started to participate in these mud runs, if you will.
Okay.
So I've done the Warrior Dash, I've done the Spartan Race. Those are I'm not particularly a fan of running, just to run around. But I guess I use the running so that I could survive these events at the end of the month or every other couple months. So
yeah.
That's what I do.
What is your time on those events?
Oh, you're really putting me on the spot. Okay, I run about a 9-minute mile.
Okay.
And it depends on who's pushing me along. So I got a couple of buddies of mine, one in particular who makes me run pretty quick. That's quick at my age, I think. But it's about, on those tracks, I do about a 20-minute mile when I'm doing those obstacle courses.
Okay.
About 15 to 20 minutes.
And so these like the mud run and the Warrior Dash and stuff, this is like an obstacle course, and there's like there's mud, I guess?
Well, yeah, there's mud, there's a lot of obstacles. You climb walls, you crawl under wires, you flip tires, you lift things, monkey bars, kind of. It's all kind of it's about 18 to 20 obstacles in a 5K loop. So to be honest with you, there's not a lot of running, because you have to kind of slow down and get to the obstacle, and then you got to address the obstacle and succeed at that, and then continue on. So
how do you train for those?
It's a mix. At first I used to do a lot of running with it, because I thought I was going to be doing a lot of running. But then I realized that you really have to continue to do your gym exercise.
Yeah.
But one of the things I just started up was yoga. And that is not a lot harder than most people would think.
Where are you doing yoga?
I'm doing that in Auburn.
Bikram yoga?
Yes, I am.
I love the Bikram yoga.
I went there. I started about a month ago. I went there at a 6 o'clock session in the warm room. It's like 100 degrees in there.
Sure, yeah.
Yeah, it was quite the experience, but I liked it, so I keep going back now. It's new, it's different, and hopefully it pays off dividends for me.
I like this combination of Bikram yoga and the warrior dash.
Yeah, a little bit of the extremes, right? Yeah.
That's right.
Well, I've always played sports. I've always been involved in sports. I mean, I grew up playing sports. I've coached sports. I'm a competitive person by nature.
Yeah.
So these are the things. I always have to have that goal. It's kind of like the campaign. I'm in a race, and I have to have a goal, and I'm trying to do the work and take the steps and the training. And now the training has turned into door knocking.
Right.
And talking to people, and I'm out there every day, and I'm doing my work so that the goal on November 5th is that we get the most votes.
Well, good luck.
Oh, thank you very much.
Thanks for being on 508.
Oh, pleasure. Thank you very much. The 508.
That's right. And I'm Mike Benedetti. If you have any feedback, you can email us at pieandcoffee@gmail.com. We'll talk to you next week. Bye, Worcester.